Years. Uh-oh. Now you know the recording's in progress. I'll hang up now. Okay? Bye.
Okay.
Okay, looks like we're ready to go. I'll start. Hi, my name is John Freeman, and my co-host is Elia Salinas. You are listening to the Changes Here podcast about San Benito County politics and climate change, where we discuss the topics of San Benito County politics and climate change. Take it away, Elia. Second paragraph. Or just start.
Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm Elia Salinas from San Benito County. I am here with also with John Freeman, who just introduced himself, and we are all about what is happening in San Benito County, whether it's politics, climate change, or events that we feel are important to this community. John and I just today joined the Jóvenes de Antaño, which is a senior citizens nonprofit here in San Benito County, with Martha's Kitchen, another nonprofit, who has now taken over the meals for the senior citizens. And it's free for all senior citizens, so they want to come by, and I just want to make sure we get the word out there. John, go ahead. I know I kind of went off.
Absolutely. We really need to get the word out there about the free lunches. It's at the community center across from the courthouse. The food, which both you and I had today at lunch, was good. It was nourishing, freshly cooked. It wasn't, shipped in from some far away place. And the people there are friendly. I urge all the seniors to go.
Yeah, so thank you. Um, so hot off the press, I guess, because of what's happening in San Benito County, right? We're bringing you all the what is new and what's happening in San Benito County. So one of the fresh off the press, literally, is the fact that the folks that are doing the recall on Supervisor Ignacio Velasquez and Supervisor Colin Kosmicki got all their signatures and got their petition ready. It was released to them this afternoon by the Register of Voters office. So they're getting ready to launch out and go out and get all their signatures so they can try to get as many votes, voters as possible, so they can, or not we, sorry. So
The
as in when
magic
I say
number is about
we,
1,700 for each of the two
for,
supervisors. We need seven.
yeah,
They need 1,700 signatures, and then they can have an election. And the election has to be within 120 days of when they turn in those signatures after they've been validated. So there's, of course, an issue of how long will that take? Who knows? But they want to have the election soon.
yeah. And when I said we, I meant as if we in San Benito County would have a special election should they go forward with grabbing all these signatures out there. So thank you for saying the numbers on that. Let's see what else happened. That's kind of San Benito County news. John, do you want to touch on the bills or the assembly bill that Governor Newsom signed yesterday, which affects San Benito County with the CEQA?
Yes, AB
Are you
130
familiar with that?
was
Okay.
signed by Governor Newsom yesterday. It was sponsored by Senator Scott Wiener of San Francisco. And what that bill does is it eases the CEQA requirements for infill housing in in any city or county in the state of California. By the way, as an aside, it also eases CEQA requirements for the high-speed rail, which is one of the reasons why that high-speed rail has taken so long, because it's been under attack by CEQA for 30 years. So for those of you who don't know, CEQA stands for the California Environmental Quality Act. It's our version of the EPA and the NEPA which is federal government.
Let's see what
Um,
we need.
what?
You froze for a second.
Oh,
You froze there for a bit. Sorry. So, do you want to repeat that again?
yeah. CEQA stands for the California Environmental Quality Act. It was passed in the middle 80s, and it applies to every project in the state of California. So the AB 130 bill relaxes the requirements for CEQA on infill housing. It also, by the way, relaxes the requirements for CEQA on the high-speed rail project between San Francisco and Los Angeles, which, as most people know, has been stalled for almost 30 years. It's an embarrassment. But most of the stalls were because of CEQA. So,
Right. And with regards to that, which is not infill, right? Because it's going to go through rural lands. So this SAB 130 also affects other projects that are in the works with regards to having to go through the process. And one of the processes are that because California obviously is home to Native Americans, because they were here first before anybody else, and they have a say so on where projects are going to be, as in they can petition, but they have to have proof with regards to whether it's sacred land and what is one considered sacred land. So there's that process that you have to go through, that you have to prove that it is sacred land, because anybody can, and it has happened where people start digging and they find, these artifacts. And just because you find artifacts, was it because they were there for an overnight or for a summer and then they went off to another place? So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens with this bill after, now that it's been signed.
yes, it
Um,
is going to be interesting. Uh, Believe it or not, uh, for some unknown reason, the Republicans were against it. I saw the votes from the assembly today, and almost all the Republicans voted against it. I thought they were for development, but who knows? It's hard to figure out. A few far left assemblymen voted against it too, because CEQA is a sacred California law to a lot of environmentalists and progressives. It really has done a good job of keeping uh, projects from growing overboard and destroying the environment. But it's also stopped a lot of worthwhile projects. We have a huge housing shortage in California. Um, we are approximately 2 million housing units down. And I say units because that will mean an apartment, a townhome, or a single family residence, covers them all. Um, and we've done a pretty good job in the last couple of years because the state has been pushing to build more. And it used to be 2.5 million short, and now it's only down to 2 million. But that's one of the reasons why housing prices are so high. When I bought my first home back in the 1980s, the rule of thumb was you're never supposed to spend more than a third of your income on rent or your mortgage. Now people are spending 50, 60% on mortgages. And I just can't imagine that. I couldn't live like that. Um, and the state of California is trying to push it back towards 30%, which I think is a laudable goal.
it's great, and thank you for mentioning the fact that to today's younger generations, because we were fortunate, we were able to buy our homes in the 80s and the 90s, but for what I paid for my house, 30 something years ago, there's no way. I mean, the mortgage payment that from that then to a mortgage payment today, the average salary in San Benito County is supposed to be $85,000 in San Benito County. And honestly, I don't know how many people with $85,000 salary can actually afford homes now in San Benito County, because of the median price in San Benito County is, I believe, at 700. A lot of people thought it was lower, but it's actually $700,000. A person who works at Starbucks is not making $85,000 a year. They may have gone to college. Now they're the manager of Starbucks. Maybe they're a manager at Target, you know. So we're not looking, we're seeing the young folks coming out of college. They're in debt for college, and from all the then having to try to get a mortgage. You have to have a car, you have to have car insurance, you have to eat, and you haven't even paid rent yet. So literally, we're seeing folks that are giving up meals or actually on giving up medications because they cannot afford the rent, much less can afford a mortgage. So we'll see how this bill works out, because I'm a proponent of housing for the folks that are in this community in San Benito County that are under that $85,000 a year. And I would like to see it. I know I was at a Board of Supervisors meeting years ago, and I believe that everybody should have the American dream and be able to buy a home. And one of the supervisors, literally said, you know what? Not everybody's going to have that American dream. And he's absolutely right. I did not like the fact that he said that, but that is the truth. And where we are today, and that was years ago, where we are today, it's even more true.
Absolutely. Housing is a huge component of what Robert Rivas called on Sunday morning at a meeting I went to with him, the affordability crisis. And there's several other issues that are driving affordability. The cost of utilities, PG&E is out of control. But housing has been out of control for a long time. I can tell you right now, my mortgage payment, and I still make mortgage payments, I have a few years left on my mortgage, is far less than rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in San Juan Bautista. And it's just really hard for me to fathom that. A young family, like you said, working at Starbucks or working at Safeway or Lucky's or Target, they're not going to be able to afford a 3-bedroom rental in San Juan, because those are $3,500 a month or $4,000.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. And good luck if they can even find a place that's available in San Juan Bautista. Although I too was at the Robert Rivas event on Sunday, and I saw an apartment building, and it said for rent. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how long that vacancy is going to last, because they go so quickly. And you bring up a good point. I have no idea what the rent is going to be there, but the days of renting. I mean, when I was young and in my very early 20s, renting an apartment was $300.
absolutely. I remember
And
that too. I was in college and I had 2 roommates and a large 2-bedroom apartment, and this was in Los Angeles County, and rent was $350 a month, and we each had to come up with $115. It's just
long are those days gone. And that is why we do need housing.
yes,
I get a lot of shots at me saying, oh, she's for developers, and I'm not for developers. I am for economic development, and I am for average Joe Blow citizen to have a home. And so if that means that I'm for developers, then that be it, because we do need to build homes that are affordable for everybody. We need farm worker housing. Robert Rivas, when he first got into office, one of the first things he did was work on a farm worker housing bill. And we need to be building more farm worker houses. And when I say we, it's actually not the citizens of San Benito County, because the people that are building farm worker housing are actually ag industry corporations that are building housing for their workforce. Then you have you had CEQA. CEQA is going to affect this, because farm worker housing obviously is out in ag land. And what is out in ag land? You have to do your environmental, work, research whether or not
You froze there, Elia. Maybe it's me.
AB 130, how that's, and not just infill housing, but as well as farm worker housing. Maybe there's some people that want to build, they've got 100 acres and they want to build out 40 acres of housing. This may affect it. We don't know until somebody goes out there. And we still have the what is it, the builder's remedy. John, you want to talk on, you want to talk on our point, on the
Sure.
builder's remedy for a
The
little bit?
builder's remedy is was passed by the California State Senate and Assembly about 5 years ago, about the time of COVID. And what it means is, what it says is, if your jurisdiction, whether it be city or county, does not have its housing element of its general plan completed and approved by the Housing and Community Development Department of the state of California, the developers can literally build where they want, when they want, without approval of the said jurisdiction. They do have to build to appropriate building codes, and they do have to follow certain setback, regulations and things like that. But they don't need the planning department approval and the board of supervisors approval to start a subdivision. And to my knowledge, that's happening twice in San Benito County. Once the land of Leaves, not, or I forget it. It's just south of Ridgemark. It's a large development just south of Ridgemark. It's to be 780 homes.
Lima,
And
the Lima property,
Lima, thank you.
Lima project. Yeah.
And that's being done by
Mhm.
Builders Remedy. And I think the Ridgemark expansion is also going to be Builders Remedy. I'm not certain on that though.
Not that one, but there are literally in San Benito County right now has 4 projects under the builder's remedy. San Benito County Supervisors did finally approve a housing element, which was way overdue, about almost 2 years, actually a year and 8 months. And so that got approved, and literally the Board of Supervisors, 3 of them, they're like, we don't want to do this. I'm not going to allow these housings to come in. And then you have these folks saying, well, wait a minute, the state says that it's mandated. What do you mean you're not going to allow it? And they're like, well, I don't want a developer to come in and build $1 million home. Well, unfortunately right now, that is high end, but that's the starting prices for a lot of homes right now in San Benito County for new home developments.
Yes.
And people from Silicon Valley are coming into San Benito County and literally buying all cash. They're paying their
Yes,
homes for cash.
I just read where the average selling price of a home in Santa Clara County, which would be San Jose and the surrounding areas, is $2.2 million. So just think of that. A person sells his home in San Jose or Santa Clara County. They receive $2.2 million. Maybe they have $800,000 mortgage to pay off or more, but what's left over is still enough to pay cash in San Benito County, and own your home free and clear. And that's a big thing, and that's a big
Well,
attraction. What?
yes, it is. And not only that, also the fact that you can bring your tax rate from the home that you purchased in the 1980s. If you bought a home in the 1980s for 150,000, which was a lot of money back then, or even $100,000, you bought a home back and you paid it off, and you're in Santa Clara County, you can come to buy a home in San Benito County, sell your home for, I'm just throwing out a number out there. You sell your home for $2 million. Your tax base is based on the property that you purchased it back in the 1980s. And this only goes for senior citizens. So you have to be 55 and over. But that's still a lot of savings. And that's less revenue for San Benito County when a lot of residents have been able to bring this over.
Exactly. And one of the things that irritates both you and I is the present Board of Supervisors, a slim majority on them, it has stymied all commercial development as well as residential. And I for the life of me, can't figure out why they stifled commercial development. Number one, it brings jobs to the community. It means the people who live here don't have to commute out and don't have to travel 25 or 156. Uh, and the money stays in San Benito County. The taxes stay in San Benito County. Life is a lot better. Life is a lot better for the city and the county if you're not a commuter jurisdiction. If you're everyone leaves at 6 in the morning and comes back at 6 in the evening, it doesn't make for a good cultural life or anything else. The quality of life is not as good as if you're in a community where the community has jobs, available jobs for people, and the people take those jobs and they commute for maybe 10 or 15 minutes instead of an hour and a half. It's just amazing difference in quality of life. I know I've experienced it both ways.
Yeah, so have I, but I have not experienced it the way they are now. And so you and I are both really out of touch with actually people are leaving at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and not 6 in the morning, right? So, and those folks are getting home and they're getting home late and they're complaining they've been on the road for a long time. And unfortunately, those are the people that, complain the most about what is happening, but they don't have the time to get involved in what's going on so they can voice their opinion. And that's because they're on the road this whole time and, not able to participate. If they have children, their kids are missing out or they're missing out on their kids' activities because by the time they get home, those activities are over.
Yes. And I can also tell you after 3 hours of commuting, you're tired. It's
Yeah.
not anyway. And so yeah, you're right. Those activities, those little leagues, art shows, drama, stage and dance, and all and bands, all the other things that go into junior high and high school athletic events. The parents miss some of them, and it's just really, really, really sad.
Yeah, it is. And so we do need economic development. And why can't we, because like I said, you and I are on the same page on this, is why can't we build, you know, uh, a, uh, a gas station, a hotel, and a restaurant along Highway 101? We have millions of vehicles that come through, millions of vehicles. We have the freight corridor, commercial truck route corridor of 156 that literally has to come from literally the whole 156 is San Benito County. It crosses over and there's no stop for them to put gas for a car or a truck. There's no restaurant, there's no bathrooms right along off 156. It is from Santa Clara County, which is Casa de Fruta, all the way until they get to Prunedale, which is Monterey County. So we're missing being able to grab that traffic to stop in our county, and whether it's to go to the bathroom and all of a sudden they discover, oh wow, look, this place exists here, we can have a visiting center out there. A lot of, on 101 as well, there is nothing along 101 in San Benito County. There is from Gilroy, the garlic farm off of 10th Street is the first or the last thing into Santa Clara County, and then again in Prunedale. So you get into Monterey County. So literally those millions of vehicles should be stopping, and we should be attracting those vehicles to stop, put gas, eat food, stay at a hotel. One of the things that I use as a comparison of what we could have here in San Benito County is Casa de Fruta. Casa de Fruta can be in San Benito County, right? Another
Right,
thing, the Madonna Inn, if any of you have been in the Madonna Inn in Paso Robles, right off of 101, and that couple started building that in 1940s because they would go from Los Angeles to San Francisco, and there was nothing there. And that couple decided in the 1940s that was like a halfway point. This would be a great place for a hotel. We could stay here, spend the night, and then in the morning continue on our route to San Francisco. So we could have those things in San Benito County. We need to have an open mind on what business, and the folks that keep saying, no, we don't want it here, is those are the folks that are complaining about the roads, right? And we
right.
don't want any housing until we expand 25. Well, when you moved to San Benito County, you knew that 25 was there. You knew
frozen again. Okay. Well, let me
25 to
jump
get,
in here. Let me
yeah,
jump in here.
sure.
You got, we completely agree on that. There is some good news. I just saw today on my trip to Hollister that the 76 gas station on the corner of Alameda and 156 is starting construction. They're actually moving dirt, and it's been a long time coming. A lot of San Juan Bautista fought it because it thought it would destroy their town. Um, I don't want to get off on this topic too much, but the town's being destroyed anyway, economically. It just isn't there.
Yeah.
Um, and so hopefully the gas station will give the people a chance to stop and do exactly what you said. And maybe they'll see, oh, there's some nice restaurants down there. And it's a cute little town. We can go investigate it. But if you just drive on by, you never have that chance. That
Yeah.
people don't have that
Well,
chance.
how many times have we all been on the road and gone by a certain location? Oh, one day I'm going to stop. One day I'm going to stop, and you never stop, right?
Right.
And so, because we all are in a hurry. We got to find a place in ourselves in a life where we can, slow down and say, what, I've always wanted to stop there. I'm going to stop there today. And San Juan Bautista is one of those places. Again, millions of vehicles crossing on 101 and 156 past San Juan Bautista, and that's a historical town. And like you said, unfortunately, right now it's probably for another topic, is the financial distress that San Juan Bautista is going through right now.
Yes. We'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This has been great. We're reaching the end of our time. I, I, I always like to end on a happy note. So I will tell you that the grid, which is our electrical system in California, for the past year or so has been running at between 75 and 80% what's called WWS, and that stands for water, wind, and solar. Water being hydroelectric power, uh, wind being obviously wind, and solar being solar. So that's really good. Our air is much cleaner because of it, much, much cleaner. Um, in fact, the air between the year 2020 and 2025 in Los Angeles has improved by 30%. And that's just mainly because of what I just talked about, power plants, and also the introduction of EVs in place of what's called ICE engines, which is internal combustion engines. So our air is getting better in the worst place, or the place that had the worst smog period for a long time. And that's a good thing. See
Yes,
you
it
next
is.
week.
See ya. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.